Everybody, it's Saints Happy Hour summer bracket season. It's time for the world famous Saints Happy Hour Saints bracket. Me and Kevin are going to break it all down for you. This year, we are doing Saints one-hit wonders. Oh, it's going to be controversial, but me and Kevin are going to preview it for you. Thomas, hit that intro.
Welcome to the award-winning Saints Happy Hour podcast. Seriously, this podcast has won awards. American standards are dropping every day. The show features Ralph, the best host in the world, who can barely pronounce his own name, much less anyone else's.
Marcus Marquez Callaway.
Dave is that dude who loves taking bathroom breaks. He's mad about almost anything, so make sure to lower your volume when he speaks.
Put that freaking clown meme back up that I made. Jesus Christ.
Andrew has sources, watches tapes, and knows football. He rarely shows up on time and wants to commit crimes to help the Saints win.
Sean Payton would have done illegal things. Don't tell me I'm wrong, because you know it's true.
Oh, and there's also Kevin, who is great at doing mock drafts, but struggles to actually watch Saints games or have a functioning relationship.
Budrich wants to know how the doctor's doing.
That ended.
Anyway, grab a drink, sit back, and enjoy the insanity.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Saints Happy Hour podcast. We are on the YouTubes today. I got Kevin with me. I got Thomas running the show back in Poland. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this great, amazing Saints Happy Hour YouTube content all over the internet, and go to saintshappyhour.com to become a patron and get all of our patron-only exclusive content. All right, Kevin, it's my favorite time of year. You know, Dave, who's not with us, but he always says, listen, when it's the off season, that's when it's our time to shine because we get nuts, we get a little wild. And one of our most favorite things that we've done with the patrons and for content is we started like 6-7 years ago, maybe doing a Saints bracket. And a lot of people do them during March Madness. And they're like, I'm doing a Saints bracket for March Madness because everybody has weird brackets during March Madness. But I think it was you, when I came up with the idea, you're like, why would we do that in March? Like, we don't need the content in March, man. That's free agency. Let's do that in the summer. So we started doing it in the summer, and we've had some great ones. We had Drew Brees' bad decisions. We had the Jim Mora bracket. We had worst quarterback bracket. We've what did we do?
Draft pick.
We had worst draft pick.
Worst draft pick.
I think so. We had last year. We had what was it? What was the one?
The villain.
The Saints villain. Yeah.
Dumbest Saint.
Yeah, dumbest Saint. Like, it's been amazing and people love it. And we build the bracket every year. Me and Kevin are going to preview it for you. And Kevin, this year, this bracket of Saints one-hit wonders, this is a little tricky building this bracket because some of them are obvious, but when we were building the bracket and when the text chain, me, you, and Dave and Andrew, we kind of fell on like the criteria, like what is a Saints one-hit wonder? And the criteria we kind of fell on was it can be one game, it can be one season, it can be one moment. But the main criteria is when you say this Saints player's name, one thing immediately comes to mind. Whereas like Drew Brees, one thing isn't going to come to mind, the same one thing for everybody, right? Like somebody will think of the Super Bowl, somebody will think of the 5,000 yards, somebody will think of how he's great for the community, all these things. But like these names are the one-hit wonders. I say the name and you go, boom. Like, for instance, Steve Gleason. He's our number one seed. You think Steve Gleason, you think Saints, you think 2006 punt block Monday night. Yeah. Like that's what we think. So that's kind of like criteria as we go through this. So we're just going to do a quick sort of overview of this bracket. So Kevin, the play-in for number 16 seed, we got.
Oh, Ralph's internet crapped out. Great. So I have to improv something that I'm not aware of. I don't know the full seeding on these things because I don't know how much got changed. I'm not part of the seeding committee.
Well, I do.
So, I guess I have to improvise. Well, listen, rather than expound on that, wait, hang on. Is Ralph back? He's like talking real slow.
Am I back? Yeah.
Yes, you're back.
Oh, sorry.
Thank God. I was about to just start opining on other weird things.
So we got Joe Morgan. He's known for the catch in Tampa, right? And the 1 year where he just caught like 15 passes and all of them were bombs. So I think Joe. Do you think Joe Morgan, like, does he qualify as like a one-hit wonder for the Saints? You think?
Yeah, I would say so because I have little to no memory of the guy. But then you saying the catches and they were all like bombs or whatever. I'm like, okay, yeah, I kind of remember that. Like that seems more like a one-hit wonder when like you say the guy's name and you're like, oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
like it seems that guyish. Like that should be a part of it.
Yeah, 2012.
Steve Gleason was that guy until the thing, and then just became, like a symbol,
like an icon, a symbol.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
But
that guyness should be part of this.
Yeah. So 2012, Joe Morgan, 10 catches, 379 yards, 3 touchdowns. He averaged 38 yards a catch, and the rest of his career he caught 4 passes. So I think he qualifies. Andre Royal, he's tricky because he never really played for the Saints, but he was a one-hit wonder, and that one hit was a sack of quarters to Cam Cleveland's eye. So is that a stretch?
That is, yes, that stretches credulity of what we're doing. But look,
it's a playing game.
You're right. It's a play-in and it's an off-season bracket, and you're coming up. The committee is coming up with these competitors and seeding. So look,
yeah.
Rob, if you don't like it, come up with better.
That's right.
Send better suggestions.
Volunteer to be on the Saints Happy Hour selection committee. Rob Ryan, I think that's self-explanatory. 2013, it was like a one hit. It was great. They were like top 5 in defense, and Rob Ryan was like hanging out at Miss May's. He was eating ice cream. People were spotting him in groceries, saying about he's buying a 12-pack and a quart of Ben and Jerry's. It was great. It was hysterical. We all loved them. And then it all went to pot, and a year and a half later, he was fired. I think Rob Ryan definitely qualifies as a one-hit wonder. I'm going to say this, Kevin. There are some sickos on YouTube because Thomas was like, Ralph, I need video when we do the actual bracket. He's like, I need video. I need graphics to make it more fun. And so I'm like, okay, Thomas, I'll go on YouTube and search some stuff up because Thomas, when he sees some of these names, he doesn't necessarily know them. And I was like, the 1980 Saints, like, they only won 1 game, so that's why they were one hit in the bracket. But I was like, there's not going to be video of the Saints win versus the Jets, right? There might be a highlight in there, maybe of like grainy 1980 television footage that I can get, right, Kevin? Would you believe that there are 4 separate full game uploads of the Saints Jets from 1980? Would you believe if I told you that? Would you believe
4 separate uploads?
4 separate uploads of the entire game.
I don't know how much of that is are the YouTube copyright people just trying to strike something, and people are trying to work their way around it, so they end up having multiple options. I don't know, but the Saints Jets from 1980.
Yeah,
we're scraping something.
The 0-14 Saints, by the way, versus the Jets.
Is that the one game they won?
That is the one game they won. That's why they're a one hit. That's why they're a one-hit wonder, baby. So that's the play-in. So we talked about Gleason. So then the 2-15 matchup to Tom Dempsey. Again, he's a 2 seed in the tournament. I think it's kind of self-explanatory. You think Tom Dempsey, you think about the 63-yard
field goal, or you think about just his foot. I don't know.
Yeah. Teddy Bridgewater, he's not a one-hit wonder in a sense of he had a little bit of a career before the Saints. He won a division title with Minnesota, and he did stuff after. But for the Saints, like, he's 2019, and he was magical. And we think of the 5-0, the bike life, the dancing. I think Teddy Bridgewater might be a stretch. I think Dave and Andrew might yell at me for putting Teddy Bridgewater here, but I had him as a 15 seed for one-hit wonders.
Yeah, Probably wouldn't have agreed with the selection on that, but you know, I guess it'll be a nice way for people to talk about to again talk about Teddy's nice little run and hey, you know, he's coaching. Is he coaching high school now?
He's coaching high school. Yep.
Wild head of hair on him now. Like he looks like
Amazing.
he's just having a good life.
He does
post NFL. So good for him.
So 3 seed Tracy Porter. Again, this might be a stretch for a one-hit wonder, but I feel like when you think of Tracy Porter, you think of one of those interceptions from 2009. You either think of the Super Bowl interception or the Minnesota interception, which, by the way,
but it was all postseason.
That's right.
So
all
he
postseason.
had like a spectacular run in the postseason.
And by the way, doing all the video, working with Thomas to collect all the video clips, it really got me emotional. But the one thing that I found was like they had video of like homemade like Blair Witch type video from people posted of the Porter interception.
Oh,
and
yeah, that was great.
That was great. But the one thing
I lived on those types of videos. Like video of people of watch parties, people at bars, and then post game stuff. Like I lived on that for probably the next year. It was great.
It was great, but the thing is, man, Minnesota was in. I mean, it would have been like a 50-something yard field goal, but they were so freaking close. Like another 5 yards that had been in primo position to win that game, and it just made me realize that, like, we think of that Super Bowl interception, that NFC title interception is probably bigger. He's on the 14 seed. There's 14 seed he's been playing. Shane Graham. Saints signed him the end of 2013, and he made the kick to beat the Eagles. Literally, that's all I can ever remember that Ginger doing for the Saints. So I think he's worthy of a 14 seed.
Yeah, I have nothing else to contribute to that.
Number 4, these like I think the top 4 seeds we got are strong because the number 4 seed, John Gilliam. And if you are a younger Saints fan, you may not, if you don't know the history, like John Gilliam, first ever Saints game against the Rams, opening kickoff to the house, touchdown. He went on to be an all-pro receiver for the Vikings in the 70s, which that was par for the course in the Saints back in the day. Have a good player, don't know how to use them. They go somewhere else, become great. I mean, that was up until the Jim Moore era. That was the running joke for Saints fans. He'll be great somewhere else. So I think he is a really, really strong 4 seed, Kevin. But he's playing a 13 seed that's really strong. Robert Meacham.
Yeah.
Meach around. Like
right.
Those are strong one-hit wonders. And I feel like it wouldn't surprise me if Meacham would win in the 13th. But I mean, like, either one of them, thoughts on those.
No, I could see that being a 2-2 and it going to the to the listeners.
Yeah.
How do we do that? We're gonna have to have a poll set up or something.
Yeah, well, Thomas will have to have a poll. And by the way, patrons will get to just patrons. This is a patron only podcast. They'll get this early, but the play-in patrons, look in the Discord, you'll see it, and I'm gonna do a poll. Patrons, you get to decide the play-in. The play-in's gonna be locked in on Monday, and on Tuesday when we start the bracket, the patrons will have decided who wins.
You know what I think we should be doing? I think we should have polls for every single matchup, and then that way, like, set them up in advance. Like, have them go out.
Oh yeah, and fire them
all
out.
Go out Monday at a certain time, or whenever you want to send them all out. But have them all go out, and have them. Their decision will count on the play-in. But with the rest of the tournament or the rest of the bracket, it's there if we need it.
Yeah, it's a tiebreaker.
And listen, if we get a 3-1 vote or a 4-0 vote, we can still say what the Discord people said, picked. You know?
Yeah. I think a lot of times I think it's going to be interesting with the Discord people and the poll, because I think the poll might skew younger, where people are like, I don't remember Tom Dempsey,
Yeah.
I don't remember Tom Gilliam, and they're going to vote these younger things, Jane Graham, Meacham. They'll vote the younger guys. Here's another one. The 5-12 matchup. This was a difficult decision. So me and Thomas kind of finagled it. We were originally going to do the 2000 Saints as a one-hit wonder or Brian Milne as a one, and we were going to do separate ones, but we kind of merged them. So Thomas, I forget, like, it's the number 5 is going to be the 2000 Saints, correct?
No.
It's
Brian Milne.
No, it's Brian Milne. So Brian Milne is like a proxy, I think, here for the 2000 Saints. So we got Brian Milne.
Yeah, because I feel weird putting an entire team as a one-hit wonder. So it's like you got to pick a person, and to not have Brian Milne by himself would have been, in my mind, criminal.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm kind of annoyed that he's probably not the number 2.
See, that's, I mean,
like
strong,
Brian
right?
Milne was all that this team had in terms of stunning. Well, now you could say the Tom Dempsey thing, but still,
I mean,
Brian Milne probably eclipsed that. So I would say Brian Milne was like the top dog in terms of euphoric Saints moments.
I mean, if they'd I think they were
Gleason thing. It's like, you know,
they were beating the Rams. I want to say, what was it, like 28-10, and it was all just crumbling down. They had lost people in the secondary. They got injured. Like it was like this cannot be happening. Like we were having a party for three quarters and 10 minutes. It was a party, and it's all crumbling apart. This cannot happen, and it would look and he saved it. So we got him, the 12 seed Keith Mitchell, 2000 Saints. He was on the 2000 Saints. He went to the Pro Bowl. Kevin, did you know that he went to the freaking Pro Bowl for the 2000 Saints? And was never that good again. Got an extension. But to me, he's a definition of one of those one-hit wonders where you look at him. 6.5 sacks in 2000, a touchdown, 86 combined tackles, and he would never get more than 2 sacks the rest of his career. And so, it was just, and he would, and the weird thing was he only played one more year. He went to the Pro Bowl in 2000 for the Saints. And after 2001, he was gone. He didn't even last for the Saints but one more year. So, but props to me, Thomas. I found his lone touchdown. I that's the thing. My wife says I can barely remember birthdays, what she tells me to do, important tasks. But when I saw the one-hit wonder for Keith Mitchell, I was like, 2000 versus the Arizona interception. He returned it for a touchdown. Boom! I knew it. That's how my mind works. Now it gets dicey. Now it gets Kevin. Now it gets dicey because we got the 6 seed Garrett Hartley versus 11 Mike Carney. Now Mike Carney, I think he might be seated too low in this tournament because when you say Mike Carney, you immediately think 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns. Cowboys Sunday night.
Yeah, and somehow in my mind, I had inflated it to 4. I honestly, for like the last, I don't know, I would probably say, for maybe the last 10 plus years, I honestly thought in my head that he had 4 touchdowns that day.
Yeah.
But still, the fullback only had 3.
Yeah, Garrett Hartley at the 6 seed, I think that's going to be a little controversial. But when I think of Garrett Hartley, I think of the kick to win the NFC Championship. That's what I think of. Secondary, he was awesome in the Super Bowl too. If you wanted, but to me, you ask a Saints fan, Garrett Hartley, I think 99% of them will be he kicked the game winner versus the Vikings.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that, and then the 3, the 3 field goals in the Super Bowl. I mean, until that. Shoot, what was it? Until like that fourth quarter, like I would have said Garrett Hartley was.
He might have been.
The funny thing is, Drew Brees had completed almost all of his was border. I think he maxed
it's a controversy.
But Garrett Hartley, I still had as a front runner to win the MVP of the game if the Saints somehow won, and then Drew Brees just
yeah, they don't give it to kickers,
picked it up or whatever. No, but I think that would have been hysterical.
Those every freaking kick he made in the Super Bowl, which he was the first guy to make 3 field goals over 40 yards in a Super Bowl. Every one of those goddamn kicks he did, Kevin, felt life or death. Like that kick to end the first half to make it 10-6. You're like, oh, we're going into halftime. Instead of being 10-10 because Pierre got 10-3 because Pierre got stuffed at the goal line. They got the ball back. He kicked his field goal. We're going in 10-6. It felt good. Like the 2 more in the second half, like they all felt monumental. So it's a controversy. I admit it's a controversial seating at 6. And like you said, Mike Carney, obvious. This one I think is very controversial. One of them is the 10 seed CJ Spiller is not. I think you say CJ Spiller to a Saints fan, if they even remember him at all, they'll be like, yeah, that Monday night touchdown in overtime. Like,
yeah, I'm trying. Who was his opponent?
Dallas.
Who was the opponent? Dallas. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even remember the opponent. I just remember he had like the walk off.
Yeah,
Brandon Weeden at QB for Dallas.
Yeah, that's right. We were like, man, CJ Spiller, it's signing. He's coming around, baby. He just went 80 yards in an overtime game. He's coming around. It's going to be a great signing. He ended up not to be. The 7 seed here, I'll admit, part of this is I just wanted to see his highlights because I loved him so much. Chris Ivory for the Saints, but I think his classification as a one-hit wonder could be a little dicey because he might have been, his post-Saints career might have been better than what it was with the Saints. Because I had forgotten, Kevin, he ran for 800 and 1,000 yards in 3 straight years with the Jets. But I classified him as a one-hit wonder for the Saints because in 2010 he was a machine and it was awesome, and his highlights were awesome, which people will see when we do the bracket. So if you want to rip that one, my 7 seed Chris Ivory as a one-hit wonder, you go ahead.
No, I won't. Like, I feel like there was a lot of talk or hype or excitement around him, and then it just never. And like he showed those flashes, but like it never.
It never
matched. He never reached our hopes and aspirations for.
Yeah,
him.
he can't.
And again, that's not to say disappointing or overrated or anything like that. Like, I'm still glad that we had him and stuff. And I would have liked to maybe have tried to hang on to him, but.
Yeah, he was never healthy with the Saints. And then after, 2-year injury years with the Saints after his rookie year, then in 2013, 2014, 2015 with the Jets, he played 15, 16, and 15 games and was healthy. Like, if he would have been healthy with Drew Brees, you'd imagine how good he could be. And that brings us to the final matchup, the 8-9. These, I think, you wouldn't necessarily argue that they're not one-hit wonders, but I think now that the bracket is gone, I think Andrew and Dave may have some points about it. Or people probably watching this or listening will be like, oh, you didn't include this guy. You didn't include this guy. But the final matchup, 8 seed Chris Reese, 9 seed Charlie Clemens. Now, I had completely forgotten about Charlie Clemens until when I asked the Discord, people in the Discord, the patrons, and people on YouTube, he got mentioned. Kevin, did you realize that son of a bitch in 2001 had 13 and a half sacks for the Saints?
Over how many years?
1 in 2001.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. Charlie Clemens. Look it up. PFF. I think I said Chris, but it's Charlie.
I don't know if you said Charlie or Chris at one point, but I did hear you say
Yeah, so it's Charlie. It's
not
Charlie.
Chris.
I mean, and it's. I mean,
Yeah, 13 and a half, 93 combined, 75 solo, assisted, tackle for loss. What the hell?
I mean, that
And
is
he didn't make the Pro Bowl?
no.
How do you
No.
not make the Pro? Like, wait a minute, hang on. Who made the Pro Bowl in the 2001 season? I want to see who made the Pro Bowl. That's now got me wondering.
Because your boy, I mean, that's an all time. That's one of the all time
13 and a half sacks in a single season?
for the Saints and 93 combined tackles, a fumble recovery,
2001.
an interception. Like,
So, wait, so it would be the 2002 Pro Bowl then, right?
that's right.
Okay, the 2002 Pro Bowl. Who the hell was on the NFC defense?
I mean,
Okay, you had LeVar Arrington and Derek Brooks and Brian Urlacher. Okay, I can't argue with those guys as starters. Then you had Jesse Armstead and Dexter Coakley as the outside. Well, Coakley was the alternate. The inside linebacker was Jeremiah Trotter and Keith Brooking. I'm like, hey, come on, man. Like
13 and a half sacks, he didn't make it.
13 and a half sacks, and you're telling me he can't get in over Jesse Armstead?
Just Dexter Coakley, get out of here.
What do
Get
we
outta-
do?
I mean, but this is the definition of. I mean, if you just go on pure one hitness in this, Charlie Clemens might be a favorite because
yeah, that is definitely what the hell.
he had 6.5 sacks. The rest of his career, he had 5 sacks before the season, before 2001, and he had a sack and a half after. So he had 6.5 sacks in his other 5 NFL seasons. With the Saints, he had 13 and a half. That's bananas. That would be like freaking Peyton Turner going off this year, dropping 13 sacks, and then going back to being injured. Like it would just be like what
So,
the hell?
I'm looking at Jesse Armstead here for the Giants. Hang on, let me make sure. Well, Charlie Clemens was a middle linebacker and not a like Armstead here is listed on the Pro Bowl team as an outside linebacker. So let me check Jeremiah Trotter. Let me check to be I want to try and be a little more fair here. Jeremiah Trotter, 2001 season. Okay. He had 2 interceptions, which he returned 1 for a touchdown. Okay. 2 forced fumbles. He recovered 1. 3.5 sacks. 93 solo tackles. Like, okay, I can understand that. I mean, well, hang on now. Clemens himself had a defensive interceptions. He also had 2 forced fumbles and a fumble recovery.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah.
I'm wondering if the thing here might have been the tackles.
Maybe.
The tackles and the tackles, because Clemens had 93 combined tackles, whereas Trotter had 93 solo
I think
tackles.
probably most of it was the Saints were 7-5, and the last 4 weeks they got outscored 100 billion to 6 or something like that, and totally just like utterly collapsed down the stretch.
Yeah.
So that probably did it. But he's facing off, final one, Chris Reese. Here's the thing. I couldn't
the
put
Eagles were 11-5 that season.
Yeah. So there you go. I will say this too, like the 8 seed Chris Reese, even though I think, I couldn't bring myself to put Thomas Morstead in for ambush.
You'd be laughed out of here, my man.
But I had to have ambush in here some kind of way.
Yeah.
So Chris Reese is the 8 seed. You know? Like,
yeah.
And I think Chris Reese is kind of of all the like forgotten heroes of the 2009 season. We think of Trey Porter, we think of Drew, we think of Thomas Morstead, we think of Pierre Thomas, right? You know, we think of all these things. We think of Vilma getting interception and fumble and in the playoffs and that sort of thing. Reggie Bush in the playoff game. I think of like all the forgotten heroes of 2009. I think Chris Reese might be number one because, man, Lord knows what the hell was happening at the bottom of that pile for that man to get that onside kick, and he did it.
Yeah.
And so I mean, like I had to give him a little love. Maybe he's I don't know if you can make an argument he could be lower, he could be higher. He's an interesting, but he's in the 8th seed. I have a feeling we're gonna have a lot of upsets in this bracket because I feel like 1 through 4 might be fine in the first round, but after that, I feel like this bracket becomes very unstable and very opinionated, and you can decide what the one-hit wonder means to you. It isn't like some of our other brackets where the chalk is going to hold. I think this one might be chaos.
Yeah, I can see that happening in a couple of cases, but you know, I don't want to I don't want to dive too much. I know this is quote unquote the preview. I don't want to dive too much into it because I might tip my hand and how I'm thinking or what I'm going to do. And that's not for that. That's for Tuesday.
Yeah, I love that. We love the bracket. And thanks for everybody for joining. This is patrons and YouTube people too, but patrons get it early. Thomas, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for the bracket?
11, man.
Thomas loves
this is gonna be the best bracket ever.
Thomas loves.
How do you say 11 in Polish?
11.
Yeah, I
you can try that, Kevin.
How fast? I can't even do it.
Can't do it. So, guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks for supporting the show. Go to saintshappyhour.com. Become a patron if you're seeing this on YouTube, so you can get all of our free content. So, thanks to Kevin. Thanks to Thomas running the show back in Poland, giving us lessons on how to say 11 in Polish. Until next time, the bar is closed.